My opponent made a pretty bad mistake, and I was able to convert the position pretty smoothly. This is round 1 of the Myerstown Summer Swiss. The previous week, I just played in the Pittsburgh Open, but now I'm back to these one-day Swisses that are really, really tough on me because I'm very slow. But in this round, I'm playing a 1400. This is my 3rd time playing him with the black pieces. And because of that, I really had to figure out what am I going to play in this opening. Because the first time I played him, it was a Queen's Gambit decline, just like this game was. We both brought our knights out, and he ended up like, after knight f3, I played a6, and then he played bishop f4, and I was just able to take on c4 and keep this pawn, keep this extra pawn. The second time I played him, after a6, he exchanged on d5 and then played bishop f4, and it was he had a much more solid position. And both of those games went down to these crazy time scrambles, and I barely won in both of these games. So now it's the 3rd time I'm playing him. Now, and so in this 3rd time, I'm like, okay, I don't want to play the same opening. I wanted to just get a different type of game that wouldn't be so dry. So I decided to play something I've never played before. After knight c3, I played bishop e7. I forget the name of it. I believe it was popularized by Levon Aronian. I don't know. All I know is that it avoids the very common exchange variation. Like, for example, like after knight f6, very commonly white will like exchange and play bishop g5. And I've had so many dry games like this. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna play bishop e7, not allow him to play bishop g5, and life goes on. And he has to make another move. Like he could play e3, blocking in his bishop. He could put his knight on f3, which in some cases white puts their knight on e2 instead. So he has to commit something, and he does play knight f3. I mean, he usually doesn't do the exchange variation anyways. So or exchange and then bishop g5 anyways. Usually goes bishop f4. And now I decide to go knight f6, and I go b6 after I castle and he plays e3. So I go b6, and this is like, I think this is called a Tartakower variation. Chess.com is not calling it that. That's what I thought it was. And I know it's just a different way to play. Like, I'm being Kedawin my bishop. These light squares might be a bit weaker than they otherwise would be. But point is, I'm going to develop my bishop this way. And I'm not going to go a6, b5. I'm just going b6 immediately. So it's definitely a different way to play. He goes bishop d3, I go bishop b7, and after he castles, I finish development. So we're both playing pretty simple moves here. Like, we both developed our pieces, we both castled, and now the question is what to do now. Well, he decides to take on d5, and I take back with my knight, because if he takes my knight with his knight, I'm going to actually take back with the pawn, and I just have a very good clamp of the e4 and c4 squares, and maybe I'll go knight f6 to knight e4. Maybe I'll go c5 eventually after I put my rooks in the center. And even though my bishop kind of looks like a tall pawn, I think it actually does a good job here of controlling the center. So in this case, it's good. I was thinking about taking back with the bishop, but then e4 can happen very easily for white. And I just didn't see the need to give white this big center. I don't think it's like losing or anything, but it's just like uncomfortable. I mean, I'm not convinced that he would be able to maintain the big center for long. Like, maybe even like c5 immediately, like rook c1 and c5. So like black is definitely okay at the very least. But I was like, but if he did take on d5, I'll probably just take back with the pawn and call it a day. But the thing is, he doesn't. And, you know, he should move his bishop back. Because I'm attacking. If he's not going to take on d5, he should move his bishop back to maintain the bishop pair. But instead, in the position, he plays e4, simply giving away his bishop. And if you saw the other games I played against him, he doesn't do this very often. And so it was just a straight up bishop blunder, and I'm just up a piece. And, you know, 1400s, 1500s, they don't usually do this. But when they do, Thank you. I need all the gifts I can get. I've been playing horribly. I've played a lot of horrible games, I should say, lately. So, I appreciate it. So now it's just simply converting a piece up, and I actually think it's very, very smooth. And maybe if you have trouble converting when you're up a piece, this may be a bit helpful. So let's see. He plays bishop c2. I play c5, striking in the center. All trades for me are good. So how am I going to win this game? I'm going to trade pawns, trade pieces. Well, not too many pawns, but I'm going to be trade pieces, and so my extra piece is more felt. And if I have a chance to attack him, I will also do that as well. After I play c5, he plays d5. I trade and go knight f6. So now I have 1, 2, 3 attackers on the d5 pawn. He cannot defend it. He goes queen d2, attacking my knight. But now I just take back. Knight 4 takes d5. And even though he has a little bit of a pin here, my queen is aptly guarded by both my rooks and my bishop. So I can actually just take the knight on c3. And after he takes back, I can move my queen out of danger. And once again, I'm simply up a piece and a pawn in this case. And there's really not much for white to do. He plays knight g5. And, he's targeting h7. And I find this really, really nice resource, which is knight g5. Knight's resource. And I'm simply attacking h2. And I'm attacking the knight on g5. I give away the h7 pawn with check because no matter what he does, I'm simply threatening checkmate. I'm threatening the knight, and if this knight moves, then I take the bishop. There's really nothing he can do here. So he plays queen h3, and it's looking a bit dangerous here. He defends checkmate, and he's starting to discover checks. But for example, rook d8 would be a really bad blunder because of bishop g6 check. I guess I have knight h6 to save the day, but it doesn't look very comfortable. But if I don't do that, then I just get checkmated. But after queen h3, I have a very easy solution, which is queen takes h2. Giving up the knight because the knight and bishop are so loose and hanging. He takes my knight, I take his knight, and now I am still up a piece and a pawn. After all said and done, we just did an h-pawn trade. We just traded h-pawns and queens and knights after all said and done. So I'm just up a bishop here, and I centralize my rook. And because all trades are bad for him, he just has to be passive. And so my moves are so easy because I'm just trading everything. And I put my rook on the 7th, or my 7th rank, so his 2nd rank, if that makes sense. And I play g6, attacking his bishop. And now his bishop is bad because I had no good place to go. And I just double up. And I go bishop f6 here because I'm trying to think of ways I could possibly checkmate him. And so I'm trying to build some checkmate nets while also improving my pieces. So bishop f6 attacks the pawn, but also prepares to maybe push the pawn to g5 because this king is a little bit naked. Maybe I'll go bishop f5 check or bishop e5 check at some point. But right now I can't because of f4. But, I'm definitely thinking about ways I can possibly just checkmate him and end the game right now. This tournament is 4 rounds in 1 day. So I really have to conserve my energy. So winning efficiently and choosing the best way to win with the least amount of calculation. If I can win in 100 moves, but I don't have to think for a single one, versus winning in 10 moves, but I have to think really hard. I'm going to choose the 100 move one because I don't have to think at all. Anyways, he plays b3. I go rook, my back rank rook to d3 check. And he doesn't have really any good options. He's down a piece at the end of the day, so he doesn't have any good options. He decides to step forward with his king, was what I was hoping for. And now I just go king g7, defending my rook and potentially preparing to play g5 check. If I went g5 check immediately, I guess the bishop is hanging, but it's not that big of a deal. I do have to go defend it now. It doesn't really make a difference. I played king g7 really quickly. But he plays f3. Now I play g5 check. He plays king g4. I play bishop c8 check. And now he plays king h5, and I take. And I go rook d4 here, setting up checkmate. And there's really not much he can do to try to stop it. He sacrifices the pawn on f4, to give a rook check, and I'm not checkmating him yet. And now he moves his other rook, and I push my pawn, and I'm threatening checkmate once again. He stops the checkmate, but we trade. And like I said, all trades are good for me. And so I defend my pawn. There's really zero counterplay. His pawn is miles away from promoting, and even if it was closer, my bishop still guards it. And I go check, and f5 check to lure the king further away. That's the goal, because wherever the king goes, he actually ends up going h5. I'm going to go rook g3 and go rook g1 next to promote my pawn and or force the rook to sacrifice itself for my pawn. So that was the game. So pretty straightforward. I wouldn't say like it was definitely a bad game on his part. Like I played him 2 times before. I know he can play a lot better than this. He doesn't usually just blunder pieces like that. But I got to take the gifts when I get them. And I already know how the next games go. I'm not so lucky in the next games. I am not so lucky in the next games. Anyways, that's it. I'm going to hit the game review, and I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace.